I thought their hearts were too big when Joe came into office, that they didn't know how many people would cross the border, and it got away from them. But they figured it out.
Mark Cuban, a guy that most people liked and basically was a moderate and kind of a fun billionaire owning the Dallas Mavs and on Shark Tank and all of that, he's gone all in on Kamala. He's got his thick rimmed glasses and he's out there and he keeps looking a little more lesbian-y every day, that whatever, no judgment here. But here he is explaining that what Biden and Kamala did at the border was just because their hearts are just so darn big.
So when it comes to criminalizing and not criminalizing crossing the border, I mean, that is just so stark, but you view that as an evolution.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's my opinion. I'm not speaking for the campaign with this.
Yeah.
I thought their hearts were too big when Joe came into office, that they didn't know how many people would cross the border, and it got away from them. But they figured it out. They learned. And what did they do? He put together an executive order, and now the number of border crossings is down to where they were under Trump, maybe a little lower. She says she's going to sign the border bill, which is very clear where she stands now. But let me tell you, Erin, the most important thing that has not been discussed, Donald Trump and Kamala both have said when it comes to illegals that are in the country that have violated the law, that are criminals, they're going to deport them. Donald Trump hasn't said what he's going to do to deport anybody else.
Elizabeth, little too late, or is that just the perfect explanation of sort of the modern liberal mind? It's like we screw up everything because of our big hearts, eventually come around and have the same policies of the guy that we used to call Hitler.
Right, the same policies 3 weeks before an election, but then we know that we're not going to keep any of those promises once we get elected. Let's not forget. But look, I don't know Mark Cuban. I actually think he's incredibly smart. I've only heard good things, but I think to reach his success level, you have to be smart. So he probably knows as well as I do that no politician on that level suffers from a heart that's just too darn big, right? That just doesn't happen. So that's number one. And number two, like you said, I mean, this is kind of what people think of politicians, right? Left and right. People have said it for years. Politicians go out, they make promises they know that they can't keep in order to win elections. And right now, we actually don't have to wonder if she's going to keep the promise or not because Kamala Harris is in the White House right now, right, with Joe Biden. So if she wanted to focus on the border or do any of the things that she promises she will do if elected, she could have done them and she could still do them right now. So I don't really think anyone's listening to what Mark Cuban thinks might happen in January of 2025. They're looking right now at their checkbooks and their gas bill and looking out their window, wondering if their kids will be safe outside and knowing darn well Kamala Harris actually does not plan to keep any of these promises.